tonight on CSC. The NCAA tournament awaits the Robert Morris Colonial women's hockey team. Find out more about their matchup. And no need to go to Wall Street because we are buying and selling the women's lacrosse team. And finally, the Colonial struggle in the nation's capital on the diamond. All that and more on your mother's favorite TV show, CSC.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to CSC. As always, it's Tyler Gallo alongside Jack O'Brien. And Jack, we have a championship-winning show today, don't we?
Oh, boy, do we. We're going to be talking about women's hockey and their journey to the NCAA tournament, as well as buying, selling women's lacrosse, and an exclusive interview with a decorated Colonial superstar for the women's basketball team. Jam-packed show tonight, folks. But we're going to start with the journey to the NCAA tournament. Women's hockey team faced off against the Mercyhurst Lakers in the semifinals of the CHA tournament. The Colonials and the Lakers had battled all season long, and it's boiled up to this penultimate climax of the story for this season. How would the Colonials fare on water against the Lakers? Well, folks, the women's hockey team would advance past the Mercyhurst Lakers. The game would start with the Colonials taking a penalty 44 seconds in, but also scoring a short-handed goal by Ellie Markovsky. The Colonials would go up 1-0, but then Mercyhurst would tie it on that power play. Going into the second, Mercyhurst would go up 2-1 on Grace Snell's only shot of the game, but 2 minutes and 23 seconds into the third period, Michaela Boyle ties the game on the power play with her 10th goal of the year, and in overtime, it would be Maggie Burbage continuing her postseason dominance, scoring 2 minutes and 37 seconds into overtime to send the Colonials to the championship game against Syracuse, the last team to beat the Colonials in the regular season. Ariel DeSmit had 30 saves on 32 shots as the Colonials move on to the CHA championship.
That's right, and the Colonials were taking on a team that they had faced quite often down the stretch in the regular season, a team that handled them pretty well. Goaltender Allison Small for Syracuse stood tall in this. Let's see how they did against the Orange. As we see here, the puck collects it in front is Jillian Thompson. She's going to put it in and bury the goal. And this would stand to be an important goal in this game. We'll get on that in a little bit as she buries that past Allison Small. And an opportune bounce. And then here is the waning seconds of the victory as the puck is sort of, surrounded in front of the net, scramble in front as the teams try to battle for that last edge in this game. And the Syracuse would fire a couple of big shots late down on goaltender Reagan Kirk, but she turned them all aside. As you can see here, they're battling for it in the corner. They're trying to get it out of the zone, but it comes back towards the hash mark. It's going to get in front, a nice save. It's going to go out to the point, and the Colonials are going to win the CHA for the first time since the 2017 season. This group of seniors has never won a championship, and now they finally have that ring. But yeah, as you can see here, they're celebrating, and they've earned it. They've worked so hard all season for this victory. The seniors, like I said before, they had not had a single ring. Captain Lexi Templeman had said earlier this year in an interview that why not us? And it's just very important for them. As you can see, here's the stats. Jillian Thompson with that one goal in the game, and Reagan Kirk turned aside 36 shots and had that shutout for the most important shutout of the season for the Colonials. Allison Small put up 34 saves of her own, but she broke on that one single goal, that inopportune bounce in front of the net right to Thompson to bury it, and the Colonials took this one by a score of 1-0.
Well, no, and again, it has been a turbulent season for the Colonials, doing so well successfully at the beginning, running into a few road bumps against Penn State and their battles in Erie with the Mercyhurst Lakers, but coming up to it, you had to think that this team needed a little bit of luck to kind of break that status quo, and Tyler, that's exactly what happened. But this was a team that's dominated all year long, and it's ironic that in the game that caps off this this chapter of the postseason ends in a 1-0 game with such an offensively talented team.
Right, this team has put up a lot of good offensive numbers all season long. As you can see against Sacred Heart, they put up 8 goals in that game against a New-Ha opponent. But they played Syracuse in their final 2 games of the regular season and lost both games to them. So this is a very big statement win for them to take them on. And like we said, they're going to take on an even bigger dog in the Huskies of Northeastern in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
No, they are. But I think this team has been galvanized, kind of a baptism by fire, losing those 2 games in the regular season to Syracuse. They realized that they're not invincible. They came in with a mindset that we're going to have to be a resilient team. And again, saying that they're a very offensively talented team, the 1-0 victory also shows how defensively sound the Colonials are. It's going to be interesting watching them play Northeastern. I think that, like all games in the tournament, they're going to be close, but I think this team has a very big chance to go very far.
Right, Northeastern has a goaltender who has saved almost 97% of the shots he faced this season in Aaron Frankel. It's going to be important for them to score early and often if they even can get past the Husky defense. So the Colonials women's hockey team won the championship, but now men's hockey also had a very, very good season leading up to this point. Let's send it over to Nathan Breisinger, who has just a great look at the season for the Colonials thus far.
It has been a long road for the Robert Morris men's hockey team across the past calendar year. From seeing their second round matchup in last year's postseason canceled, becoming one of the most electric teams in the Atlantic Hockey Association this year. During the season, the Colonials jumped out to their best start in program history, while tying their highest national ranking in program history as well. There have been a lot of factors that have impacted the Colonials this season, but it has not stopped them from being a team to beat in Atlantic hockey. After defeating Holy Cross in 3 games to start the AHA tournament a year ago, the Colonials were primed for a second-round matchup that would be eventually canceled due to COVID-19. The men's hockey team has used the 2020 shortened campaign as motivation coming into this season.
Going into the quarterfinals, we had a big 3-game series at home that we won in Game 3. I think we were all excited to get to Sacred Heart and just play there, and then we ended up finding out that the season's canceled, so it was a lot of unfinished business going into the summer, so I think that motivated guys.
Over the course of the season, just like any other program in the NCAA, the Colonials have been affected by the ongoing global pandemic.
It's been a challenge. It's been a challenge on our players, to be able to have to be ready to play and then potentially lose an opponent. It's been a challenging stretch when you don't know when you're going to play. We haven't played a game in 19 days, and now we got to be ready to play playoffs right away.
Battling through the season, the Colonials were able to come out on top of the Western Division with a 10-5-1 conference record. The Colonials have seen many factors contribute to their success, but the ability for all 4 lines to score is at the top.
One of the strengths of this hockey team is our depth. Last year in overtime, Santeri Hartikana was a third-line guy, scored a game winner. You're going to have those guys step up. And Nick Lalonde's done a little bit of everything. He's asked to play on a checking line. He's asked to play on a scoring line. And he's kind of been a utility infielder. You're going to have guys like that step up in key situations. And that's where you're going to see Aiden Spellacy really shine and with his work ethic. And a guy like Roman Kramer. So these are all quality pieces to the big puzzle that we have and the reason we've had success.
With the depth scoring fueling the success, the Colonials finished the season scoring 3.7 goals per game, up from a meager 2.7 goals per game last year. Another area that has seen a drastic improvement is the power play, as the Colonials increased from 13.8% last season to 25% conversion rating this season. The team has relied heavily on the potent power play unit.
I think in years past we were definitely close. We were just not bearing our chances, and I think this year you're seeing that when we get a chance, we're putting the puck in the back of the net, we're moving the puck well.
I think a lot of it has to do with coaching. One thing, I think Ryan DeRoche's done a great job with our power play and working with us. And then just a kind of a team mentality that we wanted to score more goals.
Another important piece of the team's success over the year has been the new players on the blue line, in net, and offensively.
Well, they bring a lot of energy in a different way, and obviously Jordan's been out, but to have 8 goals in 10 games is a tremendous start. And Randy's just been dynamic since day one, and then you've got a lot of the guys that don't get a lot of credit, that bring it every day. They work extremely hard. Gavin Goulash, Kyler Head, Matt Guerra, Matt Hutton. I mean, those guys just work every day, and then on the blue line you throw David LaFrance in and Noah West in net.
We need them to come in and step up and become big players, big role players on our team, and they've done a heck of a job.
With everything clicking on the offensive end, the Colonials have also been solid defensively as they are backstopped by freshman netminder Noah West and senior Dylan Lubesmeyer.
Can't forget about Westy. He's been really solid back there, and Lubes as well. Whenever he's in, we're really confident behind him, and that's what you need out of your goalie, is to be confident. That he's going to make the big saves and he's not going to let in the weak ones. So that's something we've got all year, is just really good goaltending.
While the Colonials have seen a lot of success throughout the regular season, all eyes now turn towards the playoffs. After dropping their final 2 games against RNT and then seeing their season finale game get canceled, the team has had a few weeks to gear up for the postseason.
Yeah, really just breaking down our systems, making sure, we kind of almost went back to day one and we started and we looked at everything we need to do, offensive zone, neutral zone, D zone, power play, PK, and just fine-tuning all those things and making sure we're sharp going into playoffs.
As the Colonials prepare for the playoffs, the team wants to add to their already strong regular season by making an appearance in the Atlantic Hockey Championship.
To be able to win a playoff championship, you have to get to the Final Four. So we have to make sure that we're prepared this weekend and take this weekend one game at a time. But everybody's goal right now in the playoffs is to win a championship.
The Robert Morris men's hockey team has fought off adversity throughout the year, and it has led up to this weekend. The Colonials take on the Niagara Purple Eagles in a best-of-3-game series, with Game 1 slated for Friday at 7:05 p.m. at Clearview Arena. For Colonial Sports Center, I'm Nathan Breisinger.
For more info on the men's hockey team, go to colonialsportsnetwork.com for coverage and updates throughout the playoffs. Well, do your best impression of a statue and stand still, because when we come back, we're going to be buying and selling women's lacrosse. Stay tuned.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. Really tall. I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Is going to pass it off to that's 21. That's Adamo, and
Hey, be good. Keep your head up. Let's get this.
So take a look at this goal here. Nick Berkusik sneaks it over the shoulder of Logan Drackett to win it in overtime, and the Colonials snap the losing streak, and they'll head on to Holy Cross with a victory. Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, women's lacrosse had a really hot start to their season, but they ran into a very big force in number 4 Notre Dame. Let's see how they did in that game. And unfortunately, the Colonials were unable to get the victory in this one against the Fighting Irish. The Irish did not trail for the entire game in this one, taking it 16-2. They had a more than 10-goal lead for pretty much the entire game. Jordan Anderson and Melanie Gandy scored both goals for the Colonials, but look at that stat line from Maddie Howe: 4 goals and 2 assists in this game, as the Fighting Irish fought to victory in this one, 16-2.
After being pummeled with a shillelagh by number 4 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Colonials took a trip to Bulldog territory to face off against the Butler Bulldogs to see if they can get a bounce-back win. Let's see how the Colonials fared against the Bulldogs. The Colonials would bounce back indeed, winning 16-6. Cleo Kerr would have 6 goals on 6 shots, as the 16-10. Excuse me, folks. The Colonials opened the game with 5 unanswered goals, but when Butler responded with 3 of their own to make the lead a 5-3 lead, the Colonials managed to enter the locker room up 10-5 at the half. RMU maintained a lead that never got within 4 points as they caged the Bulldogs 16-10. RMU outshot the Butler Bulldogs 26-21. And yes, folks, ground balls are important. I will never fail to let you know how important. RMU won the ground ball battle 14-11. And free position shots played a big role in this one. 17 for the Colonials, 3 for the Bulldogs. 5 of those 17 shots led to Colonial goals as they once again caged the Bulldogs.
Now, the Colonials were able to get their victory against the Butler Bulldogs, but now they headed to the summer home of Joey Votto to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Let's see if the Colonials could trap the Bearcats or stay stuck in the woods with a loss in this one. And as you can see, the Colonials here just were not able to put up a big fight against the Bearcats. Kylie Noss with 4 goals on 4 shots on goal is a perfect afternoon for her, as the Bearcats just absolutely stomped all over the Colonials in this one. While Melanie Gandy picked up 2 goals, it was not enough as they lost 16-7. And now we're going to send it over to the Wolves on Wall Street, where Sam Dutch is sitting with 2 of our best lacrosse analysts to talk about the lacrosse teams. Let's see. Sam, what do you got for us?
Thank you, Tyler, and welcome to Wall Street. We'll be talking all things women's lacrosse. For your first question, I'm here with Colby Sherman and Owen Krebs. The Colonials will win a game in the NCAA tournament. Colby, Owen, are you buying? Are you selling? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to have to buy, but I guess it would depend on who the Colonials play in the first round, because if they are the higher seed or the lower seed, I think they would have a chance. I mean, in 7 games, they're 5-2. They're scoring nearly 13 goals a game. They're only allowing about 10 goals a game. They're outscored. You see here, Mackenzie Gandy with 9 goals this year. Melanie with 9 as well, or 19 for Mackenzie, excuse me. I just think that they have too much firepower that they could win a game, and I just don't see how they couldn't.
Yeah, I could definitely see how they could, though. This is, the NCAA tournament. They're not going to win a game. I really hope they do, obviously. This program has had a lot of success, especially this year, with a good start. But come on, being real here, the NCAA tournament, I don't think women's lacrosse has enough firepower to get past. It'll be a tremendous upset if they're able to do it. We saw how they played against a top 10 team in Notre Dame. They only scored 2 goals. I hope I'm wrong, though.
I mean, if they're the higher seed, then they would end up being the better team in the game. So by that, we haven't really seen them play a team out of conference that they're better than. We've seen teams that they are the underdogs against. So it really depends who their matchup is for me to buy or sell this. But I'm going to say that they would have a better matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to sell there. I think there's so many other better teams in the NCAA.
Well, here's to hoping that women's lacrosse will have a successful run in the NCAA tournament. But somewhere they may be more successful. Will women's lacrosse not lose a game in the MAC conference? Colby, Owen, buying or selling?
I'll buy that. Yeah, absolutely. Every team other than a new league for lacrosse here in the MAC. Every other team in the MAC has not had as much experience in terms of playing games this year so far. Women's lacrosse has been, they're 6 games in now, and they've played against non-conference opponents, and they've got a winning record so far. You look at the stats from the other teams, Akron, Central Michigan, Detroit, Mercy, Kent State, and Youngstown. They haven't played as many non-conference games. They don't have that footing underneath there. And then obviously you have the seniors that are coming back from last year. New conference, not the NEC anymore, but they're going to be motivated to win a championship.
I honestly think they would end up winning most of their games in the MAC. We haven't seen a lot of teams take the field, though. Youngstown State's played about 1 game this year. Detroit Mercy's played 1 game. Right now, the Colonials are 5-2. They're tied for the MAC lead with Akron, who they play on Tuesday. I think that if they are going to win this, they're definitely going to win the MAC. Going undefeated is going to be tough for me just because it's a really unpredictable season anyway. Normally, it would be tough for a team to go undefeated, so based on that, I'm going to have to sell, but I think they will win the MAC.
I'll buy because they're only playing every team in the MAC twice. So that's simply why I'm buying.
With the success the women's lacrosse team has seen this season, the Gandy twins sure have a lot to do with it. Mackenzie holds the record so far for the most points for Robert Morris, and her twin Melanie is just 16 points away. Will they finish 1 and 2 in all-time points for Robert Morris?
I sure hope so. I mean, you already got 50% of it. Melanie's already up there, or Mackenzie, excuse me, is already up there. She's first, and then a fourth for Melanie. She's at 163. She's averaging 3 points a game. If she goes on that pace, she'll be Kent State April 13th. That'll be the game where she'll pass them. So, and she'll be second. And then it'll be just an internal conflict between those two, is whoever wants to get first in the franchise history, and it'll be a good competition between those two to battle it out for the top point scorer.
I honestly am going to have to buy this based off just Mackenzie already has it. Melanie's not that far behind her. You said 16 points. I can see her getting 16 points easily. Both of them are really good at scoring. Both of them are really leaders on this team. So yeah, I will buy this. I think Mackenzie already has it. Melanie's not that far behind. So yeah, I'll sell.
I'll buy it, absolutely. Absolutely as well. Even though I've got student loans to pay, I'll definitely buy this as well.
Well, boys, thank you for doing business. And after the break, we'll be back with all things volleyball and an interview with the women's basketball legend. Stay here with us on Colonial Sports Network.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear. to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie, the freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. It's been a lackluster season for the volleyball team, to say the least. They are now, at this point, they are 0-10, still looking for that first victory of the year, but who's an easier target than a bunch of cuddly penguins out in Youngstown, Ohio? We take you there for the highlights. Starting off here, the Colonials down early, but it's going to be a good block by Megan Cannon to get the Colonials on the board. And then Emma Granger, back from injury, making an impact already. A sneaky move there by Whitney Brown, catching the defense off guard, and a monster kill by Allison Londot, who sends the ball into the Earth's crust. But the Colonials would lose that set. The third set, would be a lot different for the Colonials, as they would have to fight back. Youngstown State leading 2-1. They would need to come back in this set, and they did. The Colonials would win that, but the Penguins would freeze the Colonials' offense as they took this one 3-2.
Now, the Colonials, once again, were looking to get their first victory of the season as they fell in 5 sets. Let's see how they did in Youngstown. And the Colonials were, they were going in, like we said, 0-11. They were able to actually get the win in this game. The Colonials took this one in 3 sets, as you can see here. Abby Ryan with a big kill to start things off, and then Alyssa Hudak with a big kill right there. The Youngstown police must be looking for a warrant for the arrest of Allison Londot, because she killed once and she killed again right there. The Colonials just were absolutely dominant in this matchup right there. Trying to get their first Horizon League win and their first win since November of 2019, when they took down a Long Island during the regular season. It's just been a tough road, and as you can see here, they're just crushing the Penguins in this matchup. They were on fire throughout this entire, and as you can see, who better to seal it off than Emma Granger with a big kill, and the Colonials sweep the Penguins 3-0 for their first win of the season.
Well, the Colonials traveled to the nation's capital as they are on the cusp of their best start in 7 years. We're talking about the softball team, of course, as they went to battle the Howard Bison. Now, I know that Colonials and Bison have had their troubles in the past. We'll see if the Colonials could hunt down a meal in the nation's capital. And they would not. They would fall 9-10 in extras.
Yeah, and Natalie Higgins did pick up a grand slam. She actually got Horizon League Softball Player of the Week. They only had one win in the entire series. They went 1-3 against the Howard Bison, who came in not playing too great. But Sydney Jones had the walk-off RBI in that game as the Colonials took the Bison to extras, but lost 10-9. Well, Colonial Sports Network got a chance to sit down with the one and only Artemis Spanu, who has the most points, the most field goals made, and the most rebounds in Colonials history. Let's take it to that interview. Yeah, and you mentioned the ring. Obviously, you guys did win the ring your senior year. First off, what do you think fueled the success of the team during that season, and then why were they so good and able to win the championship?
We were like a fist. We were all together. Everybody wanted to win. Everybody was there to get better. Seasons have their up and downs. Like, you go through mental stuff that maybe you don't feel so good, but the main goal for us was winning, and that's what we were doing the whole year. Like, we had a lot of hard games, hard practices, tough times with coaches, with the team, with players, but I think the main thing that kept us was that we were together the whole time through our ups and downs.
Yeah, and that season you had one of the best single game performances in school history, 39 points against St. Francis Brooklyn. Did you ever pay attention to your point totals during games or stats, or did you just put your head down and just go out there and play? And just what do you think went right for you in that game?
Yeah, not really. Like, I would never know my points till like somebody told me after the game. What was going through my mind was we need to win. I know a lot of balls were coming to me, like a lot of our plays were for me to get the ball, either create or score. So every opportunity I had, I just wanted to make a basket so our score goes up and we win the game. Like every rebound, every hustle play, everything, every tip, every defense, like it just went hard, and the stats came after that.
Yeah, and moving forward in that season as well, as the season went along, the fans would start to chant MVP. How great was it to hear that, especially as you were going out there trying to win games?
It gave me goosebumps. I remember shooting that free throw, and like the whole section on my right was like MVP, 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 and it just felt, I don't even know the feeling. Like still, like watching that video, it makes me smile. It makes me be proud for who I became these 4 years at RMU, like as a person and as a player. It's just a great honor.
Yeah, it's awesome to have the fans rally around you, especially as you guys get into the championship. So moving forward into the NCAA tournament, obviously going in as an underdog, it was going to be tough. Playing against Notre Dame, even with the loss, what was that atmosphere like playing in the first round?
I mean, yeah, we knew our chances were little on that game. We were playing one of the top teams in the nation that time, great players, but competing against these players just makes you realize that this is your next step. Like if you want to play pro, this is what you're going to get. Like these kind of players, this kind of competition, this kind of toughness. So it just showed us what extra we need to do. So, you know, and every one of us sets a goal, and if you want to achieve it, that's where you have to get.
For more on Artemis's storied career with the Colonials, you can go over to colonialsportsnetwork.com for more. Well, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to be kicking and screaming in the studio. We've got men and women's soccer coming up.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Give kisses. Give kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, for men's soccer, it had been 498 days, 5 total games, and 570 in-game minutes since they held a lead, scored a goal, or won a game. Let's see how they fared in this matchup against the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons, a fellow conference newcomer. And they were finally able to notch that elusive first victory in the Horizon League, knocking down Purdue-Fort Wayne 1-0. As you can see, Miller Masson with his first collegiate goal for RMU. He received a beautiful setup from Lorenzo Guagnelli, and Mike Zolnerchek with his second straight clean sheet as the Colonials were able to knock out the Mastodons in this one and take it 1-0.
Women's soccer was also looking to do the same, but to get their second victory of the season. They traveled to face off against the Oakland Golden Grizzlies to see if they can go bear hunting and come back with a pelt. Sadly, though, the Colonials fared just as well as Leonardo DiCaprio did in The Revenant and were mauled by the Golden Grizzlies 5-0. Colonials now sit at 1-4 overall. Ashley Postma assisted on all 5 goals for the Golden Grizzlies, and Oakland outshot RMU 15-5, 8-3 on goal, and Oakland was awarded 10 corner kicks to RMU's 3 as the Colonials fall to the Golden Grizzlies.
Yeah, well, once again, we will not be back next week. Jack and I will be back. We'll see 2 new hosts next week. So once again, we thank you for watching this week. It's been a heck of a show, and we will see you once again next week. For Tyler Gallo, for everyone that was in here, Jack O'Brien, we will see you once again next week when we're back with a lot more sports. It's a jam-packed week, so you're going to want to stay tuned here on Colonial Sports Center. See you next week.
Classy.